The smell of garlic and oregano had once filled me with pride. For 37 years, I had built Romano's family restaurant from nothing, starting with a single borrowed table and my grandmother's recipes scrawled on index cards. What began as a dream had grown into the heart of our community, a place where 3 generations of families celebrated their milestones and where my own children had learned the value of hard work. But standing outside the restaurant I had created, watching my son Marcus turn away hungry customers because he claimed we were fully booked, while half the tables sat empty, I realized that my life's work had become a weapon against me. "Just one meal, Marcus," I had asked him that morning, my voice barely above a whisper. "I haven't eaten since yesterday." He didn't even look up from his phone. "We're too busy, Ma. Maybe try the diner down the street." The diner down the street. My own son was suggesting I eat at our competitor while he managed the restaurant I had entrusted to him. The same restaurant where I had worked 18-hour days, where I had sacrificed my health and social life, where I had put every dollar back into improvements instead of saving for my retirement. That evening, I made the call that would change everything. "Mr. Patterson, this is Eleanor Romano. I need to discuss the management agreement for my restaurant." Within 72 hours, I had executed what my lawyer called a rightful reclamation of property ownership. The management contract I had signed with Marcus was contingent on his maintaining the restaurant's values and serving the community, including family. His refusal to provide me with basic sustenance, combined with his arbitrary turning away of paying customers, constituted a breach of contract. I arrived at Romano's on Thursday morning with my lawyer, the new locks, and the legal documentation. Marcus was scheduled to open at 11, but I was there at 9, watching as the locksmith changed every entrance. The financial restructuring was swift and decisive. I revoked Marcus's access to all business accounts, canceled his corporate credit cards, and reassigned the management responsibilities to my nephew Tony, who had been working as head chef and understood the restaurant's true mission. Most importantly, I changed my will. The restaurant that Marcus had assumed would be his inheritance was now designated for Tony, with provisions that it would serve the community and family without discrimination. Marcus arrived at 10:45 a.m., coffee in hand, already on his phone, with what I assumed was another excuse to turn away customers. When he saw the new locks and the under new management sign, his face went through a series of expressions I had never seen before. "What the hell is this?" he shouted, yanking on the front door handle. "Ma, what did you do?" I stood inside the restaurant, visible through the glass, but I didn't move to open the door. Instead, I held up the legal documents against the window so he could see the official letterhead. "Open this door right now!" His voice cracked with panic. "You can't do this. This is my restaurant." My daughter-in-law Sarah arrived within minutes. Marcus must have called her immediately. She pressed her face against the glass, her perfectly manicured nails tapping frantically against the window. "Eleanor, please, you're being unreasonable," she pleaded. "Marcus was just having a bad day. You know he loves you." Behind them, I watched as Marcus paced back and forth, his phone pressed to his ear. I could hear fragments of his conversation through the door. My mother lost her mind. Call my lawyer. She can't just steal my business. My youngest son David arrived by noon, still in his work clothes, looking bewildered and angry. "Mom, what's going on?" Marcus called me crying. Actually crying. He says you locked him out of his own restaurant. It was never his restaurant. "David," I replied through the intercom system I had installed years ago for late-night deliveries. "It's mine. I built it, I own it, and I decide who manages it." "But you gave it to him," Marcus shouted from outside. "You said it was mine to run." To run, Marcus, not to own. Not to use as a weapon against your own mother. As the day progressed, the scene outside became increasingly desperate. Sarah had called Marcus's sister Jennifer, who arrived with her husband and their 2 teenage children, my grandchildren whom I hadn't seen in months. Grandma Eleanor, 16-year-old Emma, pressed her hands against the glass. "Please don't do this. Dad's really sorry. He's been under so much stress with the business." The manipulation was transparent, but it still tugged at my heart. I had watched Emma grow up in this restaurant, had taught her to fold napkins and count change. But I also remembered the last time she had visited, how Marcus had instructed her not to bother me because I was getting old and confused. "I'm not confused, sweetheart," I said gently into the intercom. "I'm finally seeing." Clearly, Marcus's voice became increasingly frantic as the lunch hour approached and he realized the full scope of what had happened. "The bank accounts," he screamed, his face red with anger and panic. "You can't freeze the business accounts. I have employees to pay. I have suppliers." "The employees are paid," I responded calmly. "Tony took care of that this morning. As for the suppliers, they'll be dealing with him from now on." Sarah began sobbing dramatically. "We have a mortgage, Eleanor. We have car payments. How are we supposed to live?" "The same way I've been living since you convinced Marcus to stop paying me my agreed-upon share of the profits," I replied. "Figure it out." Throughout the entire ordeal, I maintained my composure. I had learned long ago that emotional reactions only gave bullies more ammunition. Instead, I sat in the dining room I had designed, surrounded by the family photos that Marcus had relegated to a back corner, and I ate lunch. I ate slowly, deliberately, savoring every bite of the pasta e fagioli that Tony had prepared using my mother's recipe. The same recipe Marcus had claimed was too old-fashioned for modern customers. When my lawyer called to confirm that all the legal documents had been properly filed, I answered on speakerphone so the family outside could hear. "Mrs. Romano, everything is in order. The management transfer is complete, and the inheritance documents have been updated. Your son has no legal recourse." Marcus's pounding on the door intensified. "This isn't over. I'll contest this. I'll prove you're not mentally competent." Walked to the front door and spoke clearly into the intercom. "Marcus, I am 73 years old, not senile. I built this restaurant when you were in diapers, and I've managed businesses longer than you've been alive. My mental competence is not in question. My previous judgment in trusting you is." "You're destroying our family," Jennifer shouted, her voice breaking. "No, Jennifer. You all destroyed our family when you decided I was disposable. I'm simply removing myself from a situation where I was being used and discarded." David, who had been quiet for most of the confrontation, finally spoke up. "Mom, we can work this out. Family dinner Sunday like old times. We'll talk through this." I looked at my youngest son, the one who had called me twice in the past year, both times to ask for money. "David, when was the last time you invited me to Sunday dinner? When was the last time any of you included me in your lives when you didn't need something?" The silence that followed was answer enough. As the sun began to set, the crowd outside gradually dispersed. Marcus and Sarah were the last to leave, both of them making final desperate attempts to reach me. "I'll change, Ma," Marcus called through the door. "I'll be better. I'll take care of you." "You had every opportunity to take care of me, Marcus. You chose a different path." "We're family," Sarah sobbed. "Family forgives." "Family also respects and cares for each other," I replied, "something you all forgot." Tony arrived for the evening shift, greeting me with a warm smile and a plate of my favorite tiramisu as I watched him prepare for the dinner service, efficiently and respectfully interacting with our longtime customers. I felt a peace I hadn't experienced in years. My phone buzzed constantly with texts from various family members. Apologies, threats, bargaining, and anger. I turned it off and focused on what truly mattered. The restaurant was back in hands that understood its purpose. and I was finally free from people who had confused my love with their entitlement. Romano's family restaurant would continue to serve the community, including family members who showed up with respect and appreciation, rather than demands and neglect. As for those who had taken my generosity for granted, they would learn the hard way that love without respect is not sustainable, and that actions have consequences, even when they come from family. The next morning, I unlocked the doors at 9 a.m. sharp, ready to serve anyone who came with an appetite and appreciation. The smell of garlic and oregano filled me with pride once again.